All right. Maybe we can, Liang, do you wanna start with sharing the screen, or do you wanna have it unshared in the beginning? Just curious.
Yeah, we can unshare it and
Okay.
then we'll share it afterwards. Yeah. It's
Okay.
easier for
Sweet.
me to see the chat
People
too.
are waiting, so we're live. So maybe I can admit them, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Sweet. Awesome. I think people are joining, and yeah, we'll just. Do you want to start with sharing the screen, or do you want to have it unshared in the beginning? I am hearing an echo. If someone can mute, I don't know, some of the hosts. Russell, if you don't mind muting. I don't know from where it is coming. There is an echo. Okay, thank you. So, Liang, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Sweet. So we're just gonna take maybe 2-3 minutes and just checking the liveness of the live. So let me also open the link somewhere on the side. And then we can, sweet, perfect. I can see in the live, it's just kind of like my face, but it's good. Hey guys, thanks a lot for joining. I think I'm seeing a lot of known faces, and then I'm sure there will be some newcomers, but just we'll take few more minutes to just settle in, and if possible, have your videos on. Once we go through the presentation, we'll have the option to, you know, like give you guys option to ask questions and stuff like all the other sessions. So again, thank you for joining. Sweet. Great. People are saying from where they're coming and stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Is it possible to unmute Liang? Liang, can you unmute yourself, or do you have to? Okay, perfect. I think you're audible. Hey, Liang. Can you hear me? Okay, is it good?
Yes, we're good. Hi, everybody.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Yeah, I think what is happening is that like some of the participants, they're mute, like think they're set up as mute. So if they ask any question, they can raise the hands and we can probably let them ask question. Or I mean, it really doesn't. It's fine. We don't have. But I think a lot of people are just introducing themselves, which is good. So Liang, I think. How do you want to go with it? Do you want to go with the presentation and then maybe do with the Q&A? Do you want to go with that route?
Yep, that works. So let me go ahead
Okay.
and share, and then yeah, and then I'll just have you kick us off.
Sounds good.
Can everybody see my screen? Good, awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so I can do a quick intro. So hey guys, so this is Siam. I'm the CEO and founder of Algorithm, and today we have a very special guest speaker, Liang, who is a founder and CEO of Bellora Stack. I actually met Liang through one of the like interesting networking platforms. I forgot the name. I am losing it. Lunch Club. Yes. So Lunch Club. We really bonded in our first discussion that we are both immigrants, and we are kind of like working on same like empowering the immigrants in their career, different stages of career. But yeah, we just thought that it would be really cool to bring Liang, and she can share her knowledge and wisdom on overall networking and hiring process and things like that. So yeah, thanks a lot, Liang, for joining.
I'm happy to be here. It's such a good topic, and yeah, we we bonded over this topic and have had several conversations. And then CM have invited me to be part of his podcast. And then we said, like, how do we keep this conversation going, just because it's such an important topic. And, we really wanted to dig in and just share our own personal stories in terms of, how we have evolve our definition on the term networking, and then also touching on the cross-cultural aspects of networking, because there's so many ways in which we view this action and this behavior in different ways based on the country of origin and the cultural aspects that we were raised in, and how that has an impact on the way in which we navigate the professional experience and how we use this skill. So I'm really happy to be here and joining everybody today for this topic.
Yeah, maybe, I think many of some of you guys already know about us, but those, if anyone is joining new, so Algorithm is essentially a mentorship platform, primarily built for the foreign-born immigrants in the US. We help them land their first jobs and take all the small, different steps to do that. So we train them in software engineering. We provide them career counseling. We provide them immigration support. So it's an end-to-end process where we help someone who is a newcomer and essentially help them land their first jobs, which is, I feel like, one of the most difficult phases for an immigrant. So yeah, that's a quick idea about Algorithm.
And I'm the founder and CEO of Peloristack, which is a professional services business. So I actually spent over 15 years of my professional career working in HR, talent acquisition, and also in people operations. And then I decided that I was ready to make a pivot and then take this knowledge and expertise and start my own practice. So at Peloristack, I help underrepresented early stage founders and mid-career women and non-binary people prepare for what I refer to as their first. So that first experience could be the first time that they're scaling their team, the first time that they're building out their people ops infrastructure, the first time that they're negotiating their salary, or the first time that they are making a career pivot. So this is something that has been a real passion area for me, because I came to the US with my family as a refugee from Cambodia. So I arrived when I was 1. So most of my experience has been in the US. However, I very much identify with living in that dual culture, where when I was inside my parents' house, there was certain norms and rules that I had and behaviors that were expected of me as a Cambodian. And then when I exited that house, there was all of these cultural and social norms that was expected of me as an Asian American. And so I had to navigate a lot of these first experience on my own through trial and error. And it was very painful in certain instances. So if I can help to relieve or take away some of that pain from other people by sharing my knowledge and expertise, it's been something that has been very fulfilling and purpose driven work for me to do this. So we figured, this would be a great way to kick this off, is just to share our own personal networking stories. So CM, I don't know if you want to start, if you want me to kick it off with my own personal experience. I can start. Okay, so I can start if you're.
Yeah, no, sorry. I think maybe I lose whenever I mute myself. I get lost in the mute. So no, I think you can start, and I can jump in if there is anything. But yeah.
Okay. Well, so when I first, I was the first person in my family to graduate with an undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree. And when I graduated, I didn't know that networking was a thing, because in the Cambodian language, there isn't even a word for networking. I know that there are many Asians on the call here. So you may identify this culturally. It wasn't a positive thing to ask people for help. It almost felt like asking for a handout. And that's in terms of like the practice of networking, that's kind of like what it felt like for me. And I also didn't even know that that was something that I could do. And so I built all these relationships with past colleagues and internships, and I didn't leverage any of that. And I ended up spending a lot of time, lots of months after I graduated, just trying to secure a job. And fortunately, I was able to land at a really great company, but it took a lot of time. And had I known that networking was a skill that I should be applying into that process, I probably would have saved myself a lot of time and got, further ahead. And that was my experience for a really long time. I didn't leverage this skill, very much. And when I did, I only leveraged it when I was job searching and not really for much else. And that was a huge impediment on my career, in retrospect. So, so that was my personal experience. And then also being an introvert myself, I'm a very high introvert naturally. So going to big events like the picture that you see here, where people are talking to strangers, like I just don't really enjoy doing that. It wasn't something that I really embraced, nor do I embrace it now. And so I found different ways to do networking that works for me. CM, do we have you back?
Yeah, I am back. I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to share a story, a personal networking story about, what you've been through.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are many, like, I'm just trying to remember which one I should share, because I think that there are so many places where the networking kind of came to an effect, which eventually helped me in a different way. But I think I can share one of the ones which is not related to directly like my career, but like it was really beneficial. So um, so I started, I think, like, I don't know if I told this story to you, Liang, but in general, for everyone's context. So when I first came to US, I didn't have a lot of guidance on how to choose a US university. So so after coming, I just thought that, okay, I'll just start with just helping people, just start with a Facebook group and help people, give some information on helping them on how to choose a US university, kind of like helping them with the admission process. So I was just doing my master's and in parallel, just helping students on my side as a hobby. And I think what happened is on time, this group just became a massive group with more than 200,000 members. And why I'm bringing this is because I've shared this with some of my friends and some of my students, is that I believe like the fundamental reason for networking is to help others. So I didn't realize that this could work even as a trick, but I just started with helping people. But now I have an enormous network in US, who actually, all these students came to US, and then now they're working in all these big tech companies. And now it kind of became my own network, which I can leverage for my own good, but I wasn't thinking that way. So the thing about networking is that it's not a very direct, I give money and then I get a result fast cash kind of way, but it always takes a little bit longer time, but it always comes back. So that's, I would say, like my biggest networking story, which I didn't realize that I was doing networking by helping people. And this is something which most of the people I see do, that they create value. Whenever they're in LinkedIn, they're sharing a lot of content to their networks, and eventually that comes back to them. So so that could be one of the networking story, Liang.
That is such a good story, because it also illustrates an example that a lot of people don't think about and they struggle with, because they're always trying to figure out, well, how can I add value to other people. And we'll talk about one of those as one of the personal cultural held beliefs that some people have, right? And how do you counter that? So I think that was a really, really successful example of how you did it. And you did it without even pursuing it. You just did it, because it was just out of the goodness of your heart, and you ended up creating this really large community. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And like, I wish that I had this training. To be honest, I never thought networking as a skill set or muscle group you can learn. Mm-hmm. But I think like Liang, I was talking, like when I was talking to you in the previous day, like it's so interesting that you learned so many things kind of like by mistakes and organically, but now you can share the wisdom that, oh, these are actually frameworks or tips people can follow. People can actually learn these things. Like these are like building any muscle. Mm-hmm. It's you can train people on how they can connect with others and network. But yeah.
It's such an important life skill.
Mm-hmm.
So let's this is my favorite part, because this is a collection of 5 beliefs that I pulled together that are deeply held. And it's a combination of things that I felt myself and then things that my clients have shared with me, which is, what are some of the things that they hold on that either is creating a blocker for them in terms of like putting this habit into work, or it is creating this negative impression of what networking is, and therefore they just are really, really opposed to taking part in this practice. So the first belief that I hear often is, I will create a negative impression of myself if I ask for help to find a job. This is something that's very common. I shared it myself when I first started. It was like, ooh, I'm going to be seen as really weak. And as though I could be viewed as someone who's weak. I could be viewed as someone who isn't capable of doing it on my own. And this is something that stems from my cultural background, that, you have to push through, you have to work hard, and you have to earn everything, right? Every accomplishment and every success on your own. That's when it's true success. However, I was challenged in the US context, because in the US, this is the way most people find a job. It is a very common practice to reach out to complete strangers, to reach out to people that you used to work with, to reach out to your neighbors, to reach out to, literally anybody that you can possibly think of, right? To express to them, hey, I am, this is a goal that I have, whatever that goal may be. And I'm looking to connect with people who fit this particular profile. Do you happen to know anybody within your network that fits this particular profile? And that is completely acceptable to do that. So that was a huge shift in a mindset for myself personally, and for a lot of people that I work with in terms of that cross-cultural nuance. The second belief that a lot of people hold on to is, I'm really good at staying updated on job openings and focusing my time on applying for job openings only. And so how many times, and some of you may fall into this bucket right now, where you say, hey, I'm applying for 100 jobs each week. I'm staying on top of LinkedIn. I'm staying on top of Indeed. I'm staying on top of GitHub. I'm saying it's, whatever it is that you use as your main source, right, for jobs, to take a look and see, all of the different employers that are out there and all of the new openings, and spending a lot of time applying for these jobs. Now, I'm not going to say that isn't important. That is still an important aspect of the job search process, and you should continue to do that. However, one of the things that I advise people is to focus maybe 20 or 30% of your time on those actions, and spend the remaining portion of your time and your job search process on cultivating relationships and building a network. And the reason why I advise that is because it is, and I have firsthand knowledge of how things work internally, because I used to be the person that was responsible for creating those job recs, talking to the hiring managers, designing the organizational structure and open positions. And I know that there are openings that occur that aren't even posted, that, happen behind the scenes. And so how do people find out about those things? They find out about it through networking. A couple of statistics I always like to share with people is that 80% of LinkedIn members believe that networking is a really important aspect or skill in terms of obtaining a new job opportunity or career advancement. The other thing that's also important to know is that 70% of most jobs are filled by candidates that are actually not posted. They're filled by they select the final candidates. And meanwhile, these jobs aren't even posted publicly. So that just goes to show you how much happens behind the scenes, and it further emphasizes how important this skill is. The next belief is I don't have anything to offer to others, so I'm not in a position to ask for something myself. And this is one where this is why I love the example that you shared, Sam, because it is, you went into it and you said, what, I am struggling with this myself. So why don't I use this experience to help other people out? And so you created this Facebook community to help out other immigrants who were struggling with finding the right college or university to apply for. And as a result, you built this huge community. And so maybe at that time, you didn't feel like you had something to offer, right? Other than your own unique experience. But what was special about that is by sharing that experience with other people, you ended up attracting a lot of people who were going through the same challenges, and then ended up building this community that continues to thrive, right? And rely and support each other to this day. So we all have something that is unique to us, whether it's a personal story, it's a skill, right, that in a particular area that's very valuable to other people. Maybe it's contacts, maybe it's our experience working for a certain company. We all have something that we can share with others. So we add value in our own unique way. And so it is, let's throw that thought out the window in terms of I don't have something to offer, because I strongly believe that we all have something to offer. It's just a matter of starting that conversation and understanding the person on the other side. What are some of the things, the pain points that they may be experiencing, or maybe what are some of the things that they're going through, where you can actually help to either provide advice, provide them with resources, or provide them with a connection yourself to help them out. So belief number 4 is I don't think that strangers will respond to my messages because they don't know me. So I don't want to waste my time reaching out to them. So this is one where it's almost like you're shooting yourself down before you even gave it a try. And one of the best success stories that I have is I have a friend who she's very, very shy. She's very super, super introverted. And she realized, she's in engineering and she wanted a mentor. And so she did a Google search and she found a couple of women that she wanted, who she identified as people that she wanted to be her mentor. So she reached out to one of them and she said to her, hey, you don't know me. I don't know you. I found you. This is my background. I'm looking for a mentor. Would you be interested in being my mentor? And the woman said yes. And she's been mentoring her for, I think it's over a year. And she's been really instrumental in her career and helping her out. And for her, she said, what was the risk of reaching out? The worst thing she could say is no, or she doesn't respond to my message, right? And that's okay. And so she took this risk and she ended up benefiting, by taking this risk, and now has a mentor, who she specifically sought after. So again, you just never know what people are going to say unless you take the action of actually reaching out and asking people for help. And then the last belief is that networking is only relevant to job searching. I'm not looking for a job right now, so I don't need to bother with it. And this is probably, out of all of the beliefs, this is probably one that could be the most harmful to your career. The reason why is because networking is a skill and it's a muscle that you're building. So if you don't practice it on a regular basis, you could be pretty rusty. And then the other thing is you run into that self-consciousness, right? Or self-doubt when you do start to network, when you're trying to look for a job, because now you feel like, oh, now you're just reaching out and you're using people because you need something. And then now you feel uncomfortable asking, right? But if you've been cultivating these relationships and building this muscle on a regular basis and constantly reaching out to people, when you are ready to go back into the job market, or when you are ready to look for a mentor, you've already established all of these relationships. So that is the best, that is a huge value add by turning networking into more of a habit and a routine versus this one-time event. Okay. So I know that there's some things that's going on in the chat. I can't see it. I don't know if there's questions that people have that I don't want to ignore anybody. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. We good?
Yeah, I think we're good on the chats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So let's jump into the tips. So networking tip number one is identifying and clarifying what your networking goals are. I know that this sounds really simple, but this is probably one of the starting points that a lot of people miss. So as of right now, if you're looking, you obviously signed up for this webinar, this workshop for a reason. There's some value in the topic of cross-cultural networking that's really important to you. And maybe there is a career goal or an objective behind this. And so the first question I would ask myself is, what is the purpose, right? What is my why? To reach out to people and network. What is it that I'm hoping to achieve, right? And it could be, I'm hoping to secure a new job. I'm hoping to build relationships at, the top 4 tech companies that are out there. It could be, I am looking to learn something new and I want to reach and connect with thought leaders, right, in a specific space. The reason why this is so important is because when you start to reach out to strangers or you start to reach out to your network, if they don't understand what your goals are, it's going to be really, really hard for them to either A, say yes to meeting with you, or B, understanding how they can help you. So getting this defined from the very beginning is very important. And the more specific that you can make it, the better. I'm looking to switch jobs and secure a new job within the next 12 months in this kind of company. Like, that is very, very specific, right? Who do you know who can help, that you can connect me with, right? That can help me secure or help me reach this goal. So the more again, like the more bullet points or the more specific that you can get in whatever those goals are, the better off you'll be. The more helpful your network can be for you. The second tip is identifying close connections who have a vested interest in your career success to make warm introductions. So the first question that you may be thinking about is, what exactly are warm introductions? Warm introductions are introductions that are being made on behalf of you by someone that you know personally, someone that you are close to, who is connected to someone that you would like to talk to. The reason why this is so important as a strategy is because there is a direct connection between that person and the person you're hoping to connect with, is the probability that that person will say yes to meeting with you is much higher. So understanding, looking at and then the other piece that I also forgot to highlight is I specifically indicate in here that it's identifying close connections who have a vested interest in your career success. So someone that I met at a random conference and I connected with, right, who I don't know very well, I may not necessarily have a vested interest in their career success because I don't know them very well. But if my best friend reaches out to me or my mentee reaches out to me and says, Liang, I really want to connect with this person who works at this company, and I noticed that you're connected to them on LinkedIn. And is it possible that you know them very well? And if you do, would you be open to sharing, to introducing us together? Because I really want to talk to this person. And so because I have a vested interest in this close friend or my mentee, I am more likely to take this action and actually pursue this introduction on behalf of that person because I care about them and I care about their success. And so you're working things on both ends, right? Where you're utilizing and leveraging the relationships that you've built, right? From people who really care about you. And then connecting with them and asking them for these warm introductions. Okay, so if you want to, post workshop, if you wanted to action this particular tip, what I would strongly suggest is think about, what your goals are. And let's say your goal is to work at a specific company. Do a search on LinkedIn and see, who do you know that has one degree that has a second level connection to someone that you're looking to reach out to, and then identify the people who have a vested interest in your career success, and then ask them if they'd be open to introducing you to that person. You're more likely to hear from that person. People who make those warm introductions, they are more than happy to help. They're also more than happy. The people on the other side are more than happy to take the phone call. Okay. And you'd be surprised at how many people you have a second level connection with that you can meet. Okay. Networking tip number 3 is prepare scripts for your networking messages to clarify what your ask is and to simplify the process. So I'm all about automating and simplifying as much as I possibly can. And writing messages to people, especially strangers, is a very overwhelming and daunting process for me sometimes. And so the way in which I simplify this process is I have standard scripts that I write. And I provide these standard scripts to my contacts that I'm hoping to get introductions from. So I actually will write a little message on behalf of myself for them to use as they're introducing me to other people. So it makes it easy on them. And it's a very low barrier for them to action that particular step. I also have standard scripts when I am pitching, right? For example, because I'm, constantly doing new business development. So if I'm trying to pitch to someone, I have a standard script, whether it's for a B2B business contact or a B2C business contact. So I have a library of all these different scripts that I have ready to go, so that no matter who I'm talking to, if I meet somebody at Lunch Club and they say, Liang, I love your business, how can I help you? Who can I connect you with? I already know off the top of my head, I would love to connect with the following, types of people. And I'm going to send you a blurb about myself that you can use to make the introduction. So that helps to simplify things. So that is the last of my tips. So I'm just going to pause here and check in to see if there is anything that you have questions on, or you would like for me to go deeper into, or maybe provide some additional examples or answer any questions related to networking tips or beliefs that you struggle with yourself.
No, these are incredible. I think this is what would I say, like a gold mine of like just like keeping this printed would be super helpful. Just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like all these what should I say, like wisdom nuggets. I think did you want to Liang like have questions from students yet, or like the participants yet, or maybe we can
let's take questions.
Sweet. So Russell or Romeo, I think the question to you guys would be that can we open all the students' audios up somehow, or how do we?
Sure. Yeah,
I guess.
we can do that.
Okay, so that way, if anyone has any question,
yeah, it's done. They can unmute themselves.
Sweet. So if anyone has any question, you guys can just jump in.
I have a question from, can we go previous slide, networking slide to tip 2?
Yes.
So I didn't if you could give a little bit more detailed description regarding vested interest in your career success. I didn't get too much into it. That would be great.
Yeah. So someone who has a vested interest in your success is someone that you are close with, who want to see you succeed in the future. So it could be a former professor who you were close to. It could be a former manager from a previous, let's say it's an internship, right? If you're still studying. Or it could be a past mentor. It could be a family member. It could be a someone in your religious community, that you seek to for advice or support. Anybody that falls into that category where they know you personally, they're close to you, and they're constantly asking you questions about how are things going in your life and work and career, and they want to help. They want to support you in different ways. So those are the people that have that identify as having a vested interest in your career. Does that help?
Yeah, it helped. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi, Liang. It was really great listening to you. So I can really resonate with you when you said that you are an introvert. At the beginning, you were an introvert and then you overcome it. I really would love to know how you overcome that barrier when you are an introvert.
It's taken a very long time. So this is, I've been working professionally for over 18 years at this point. And so I evolved from being painfully shy and just going to my desk and working and not talking to anybody around me, right? To being comfortable in this environment, talking to complete strangers. So the way that I did that was, one of the things that was really important for me is succeeding professionally. It's always been, it's just been ingrained in me ever since I was young. I am very much an achiever and I like to get results done. And so I really leaned into that. And so for me professionally, in order for me to be successful, I had to interact with other people. I had to talk to people. I had to get up and talk to someone that I felt was more, that I felt inferior to, right? And ask them for something or ask them questions and ask for help. That was the only way that I could succeed. And so I think that helped to push me. That was the initial push. The other thing that I also started doing was I feel much more comfortable talking to a stranger if it's one-on-one or it's in a small group. And so I would identify opportunities where I can connect with people one-on-one in a much more comfortable setting for myself versus going to a huge networking event, for example. I don't do well in large parties. I don't do well in large networking events or large conferences. I don't even do well in large Zoom rooms. I definitely experience some anxiety if I enter a Zoom room and I see 150 people in the room and I see a bunch of faces, it's very difficult for me. I tend to get more quiet. And so the way that I mitigate that is I actually show up early, because psychologically it helps me to see fewer people and fewer faces. And then as people start to enter, I've already started to build a comfort level in that environment. So I do the same thing in real life. When I go to any type of large events, I show up early and I go there with a friend or someone I feel comfortable with. And then I wait. And then as the crowd starts to build, I've already started to acclimate myself into the environment. And so that helps me out a lot. So hopefully that advice is good and helpful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And then the other thing is Lunch Club is an excellent networking platform for introverts because they match you up one-on-one and you have 45 minutes. They have a profile of the person you're going to be meeting with. So it's excellent for me. I have met, I think, over 100 people on that platform. And I have friends all over the world now, through that platform. So you may want to check that out yourself.
Hello.
Hi.
So, is it a good idea to connect the other field professional, or it's just a waste of time because at this moment different fields are correlated to each other? And another thing is which way we use to increase our networking at this moment. So it's a pandemic time, so we can only use LinkedIn, or which media we used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't think networking is ever a waste of time because you just never know where these relationships that you build, where it's going to end up. I mean, I've actually had people reach out to me that I worked with 17 years ago, and they said, "Oh, you have a coaching business. I'm actually looking for a coach. Would you be interested in being my coach?" So I feel like it's such a great investment of your time because you're cultivating these relationships, you're adding value to someone's life, and then you also are gaining something. It may not necessarily be right at this moment, but it definitely for the future. In terms of the different mediums that you can use right now because of COVID, obviously there's a lot that's happening virtually. So attending conferences is a great opportunity. I know a lot of people network just through chat alone. Clubhouse is also another great way to network as well with different thought leaders. If you and it's great because you don't have to show your face, you don't even have to get dressed or even shower, right? To show up at these events. There's a very low preparation involved, but it gives you access to a number of different people. And then I mentioned Lunch Club is another really useful platform. I know a lot of people use Twitter as well as a form to network with different thought leaders and influencers out there. So that could be another great platform that you can leverage besides LinkedIn.
I can jump in also to add with Liang, like great points. Like these sessions are so helpful personally for me because I also get to learn a lot myself. So yeah, I think I feel like we're living in a kind of like in a golden era of networking because I mean, post-COVID, it's a little bit interesting, but I'm saying it because with the power of internet and COVID will eventually go like our societies are becoming normal. So we have this ease of internet where we have very easy access to any person we want to meet. Like I can actually have a conversation with Elon Musk, actually have a conversation with him. And also when we have some relationship built in a low-key way through online platforms, we can just meet in person. I think like this was not possible even 10 years back that I could randomly meet anyone. So in the power of LinkedIn, Twitter, and all these platforms you mentioned, Liang, like once we establish some kind of easy trust online, because in online, it's low effort. There is like less fear of rejection. It's not as bad as upfront rejection. So it's just easy for also a lot of introverts to, like just do it online. And then all right, it feels like we're good, and then we can meet on offline. So I feel like this is a great way to start the relationship, but also maintain the relationship. Sometimes when you meet someone, you have some connection, but later you can just follow up with them, like send a message, or so I think also adding people in social media gives them another like subtle way to just have them in mind, because when I add someone in LinkedIn, I'm posting stories, I'm seeing their stories. So these are, although there are no direct communication, I am like the trust is being established, right? Like the fundamental goal of networking is to establish trust, and it doesn't have to be always a direct communication way. Just seeing someone's value being shared in stories, that is like, oh, this is how she thinks, and we are thinking alike. So like very interesting time for networking. Like it's very, very complex and like very nice, also like very good for us who wants to leverage this. So just wanted to add that.
And actually, that just made me think of something else. One of the struggles that I hear from people is that, oh, once I connect with someone, how do I stay in touch with them? Because it's so awkward if you haven't talked to them in 6 months or a year, to say, hey, like how's it going, and reappear. So one thing that I do as a strategy is there's like several people that I like to stay in touch with, and I'm very purposeful and intentional. And what I do is, when I see an article or I see an event that I think they would appreciate because it reminds me of a conversation that we have, I'll share it with them. And so I'll just say, hey, Sally, I came across this event and it actually touches on some of the things that you talked about last time we connected. I thought it may be interesting for you. And it's just a reason for me to stay top of mind with them. It's also a reason for us to just have a dialogue. And then sometimes they'll say, oh, thanks so much, I really appreciate it. How are things going? I'd love to catch up soon. And so we'll schedule time. So then it's like less awkward, but I'm doing something that provides value to them.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great tips, and this is something which I also struggle with, especially with someone when I don't like. This is sometimes bad that sometimes I get so busy that I do not get to respond to people, and then I get afraid that, oh shoot, like I didn't respond to them for 2 weeks. I don't know how to break this barrier anymore. This is a bad loop I sometimes fall into, but that's probably goes beyond networking. Or I think like, but that's a good idea. You said that, like, as long as we are like sincere and also like reaching out to essentially like just help them out in some of their things, I think this can be mitigated. Like people are understanding if we're just being honest and truthful. So it's not a big deal. But I think there are some questions I wanted to ask in the chat. So Anmol asked, Anmol, do you want to unmute yourself and ask, or do you want me to read the question? However you want.
I can share, I can talk real quick. So what happens is whenever, hi Liang,
Hi.
how are you doing? What happens is whenever doing a networking, I always get confused, like sometimes how to approach the person who is having a similar profession or my goal profession. I always have a hard time like how to approach. If you can just clear about it. I think we already have a little bit talk about it earlier, but a little bit thoroughly. How can we improve ourselves to approach?
Yeah, I think, I gave some suggestions before. Another angle that you can use is the learning angle. So I read this about you, and I wanted, like you wrote this white paper, right, on such and such topic. And it was very interesting to me for the following reasons. And I wanted to just chat with you about that to learn more, what motivated you, what inspired you. And it's coming from a place of like, not you asking for something. It's just really from a curiosity perspective. That is a great way, right, to connect with strangers, because I think a lot of people feel very defensive if you come straight at them and say, hey, I want your job, at Facebook, right? And I want you to help me, get your job, right? I think it's very shocking for people, and that's usually not very effective. So if you come at it from a learning angle and you build a relationship and you show curiosity and interest in them and their perspective or some of the work that they've done, I think it helps to ease into that relationship and opens up the door. Another strategy that I learned from somebody else who suggested this, which I thought it was brilliant. She said that most people like to reach out to really senior people when they're trying to connect with someone at a company because they think, oh, this person has power and they have decision-making ability. And so if I can connect with them, they can open up a door for me. What she does actually is she reaches out to really junior people at the company. And the reason why she does this is because no one ever reaches out to junior people at a company. And so when they get a request to connect with them, they're really flattered. And they're like, yeah, of course, I'd love to chat, right? And then you talk to them, you build a relationship, you get insider information about the company culture, their hiring practices, openings, and everything. And then that person will like her so much that they will say, you know what? Why don't you send me your resume and I'll submit it as a referral and I'll put in a good word for you. Because the other thing is that most companies offer a referral bonus. And so this person is not only submitting your application as a referral, but then if you get hired, they get a bonus because of it. So that was like a really, I think a really good strategy that I always like to share with people because I think it's very clever. So that's another route that you can take.
Yep, that answers my questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Liang, yeah, again, like I'm just hearing these amazing questions and answers, and like more ideas are coming. Like one of them is that just like, I do not want to make like everyone lazy, but it would be amazing to have like a algorithmic format for like, oh, this is the situation, this is the format of questioning. Like I was looking at one of my friend's stories where he's working with some other company for building a dating app where essentially people send this starting boring questions of hi and hello. And then it says that, hey, hi is not a good answer. And it actually writes the question for you. The AI writes the question like, oh, what kind of food or what is your favorite dessert? Or like, like more intelligent questions. So I think this will also start happening because this is all about like human relationships, starting an icebreaker, maintaining the relationship. So I think there will be also like starting to have more formats on that. Like the idea you shared that you have some templates ready. So again, okay, if this is if I'm taking the learning method, then this is the template. If I'm taking that other method, then that could be the template. But looks like there is a lot can be done in automation and like just like managing that process. But yeah, coming to, I think there is one more question I'm seeing in the chat. Jahid Hassan Dipu, do you want to ask it yourself or do you want me to read?
I can tell. Yeah. Hi, Liang. I'm Zahid.
Hi. It's nice to meet you, Zahid.
Yeah, you too. So I had a question regarding in this virtual environment. So how do we connect with people? So since we talked about different like meetings or events, so right now there are very limited or no meetings going on. So how do I connect with people? Is it only via LinkedIn or any other platform?
Yeah, LinkedIn is always like a good go-to because I think it's very neutral and it's used for professional networking. So I think it's a safe place, and a lot of people will drop their LinkedIn connections in the chat when you're going to some kind of virtual event. You can leverage the experience that you have in this event. So for example, if you wanted to network with folks who are on this or who are in this webinar post-webinar, you can connect with them on LinkedIn and say, hey, what did you think of that? What are some of the takeaways? Or this is something that I learned. I'd love to like chat with you some more about this, right? So we can just share notes, right? And share tips with each other. So that's something that I do in very big events where I do want to talk to other people, but I can't physically go to them, right? There's no virtual coffee chat, right? There's no virtual coffee table that I can go to. And so I'll just connect with them on LinkedIn and I'll just ask them a question like, hey, so what did you think about that? Or, I looked at your background. It looks really interesting. I noticed that you worked at this company. I know something, about that company. It's, I know that they were in the news recently, I just ask questions, right? Just to keep that conversation going. So that's a way in which you can start to expand beyond just this virtual environment to keep those conversations moving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think Ashraful asked a question, and before going to that, I agree, Liang, with that. And actually, for everyone, like just interesting information that I actually never met Liang in person. Like I just met her in lunch club. And then we had meetings in Zoom, but it seems that the connection is like good. Like I'm, there is no, but because mentally, whenever you connect with someone in terms of philosophy or overall ideas, you can connect. And also that goes to some of our students too, where we have some people we have not met them in 6 months. We have not met them ever in person, but it does. I think Zoom. It's not exactly the same in meeting in person, but I don't think that this is a very strong barrier anymore. I think Zoom, as long as we are converting the chat to a Zoom one-on-one session, I think it could be a solid session. So that's my, at least that's what I'm also realizing, that people are maybe also adapting to this kind of changes. But Liang, another question, Ashraful asked, again, Ashraful, do you want to ask it yourself or do you want to ask it in chat? I think you are mute, Ashraful. You are still mute. But yeah, so.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Now,
okay, sorry.
That's okay.
So, Liang, my question is, what could be a best strategy for us to make our relation warm? I mean, if we even connected with LinkedIn, but over time, that it could be, relation could be cool, or so we need to keep the relation warm, even if it's not immediate we have required, but which relation can help us in life later, we never know. So what could be a strategy to regular basis keep our relationship warm and more intimacy, or as a making as a average level?
Yeah, so it's a great question. A lot of people struggle with this. So one of the suggestions that I had earlier that I do myself is I will share random things with people that I want to stay in touch with. So it's either an article or an event or something that I think, would be helpful or useful to them. And it connects to something that we talked about in the past. So that's one thing. The other thing, and this is your comfort level, being active on social media also helps for you to stay present and top of mind. So if you want to build out a space where you are a thought leader in a particular area, or you're providing different kind of value, you're going to show up on your feed. And that also helps to stay top of mind. Because I have my own business, I've had to do this. So I've become much more active on LinkedIn. And so I started to appear, and I've had a lot of people resurface throughout that time to say, hey, I saw you spoke at that event. I actually know someone else who is speaking at the event also, just wanted to check in and see how it went. So it's just a good excuse for you to always be present in some way. So it depends, again, if you're really shy about being active on social media, maybe you don't want to pursue that route. Pursue the other route where you're doing a little bit extra work to share with each person individually. But if you're perfectly comfortable building a brand and building yourself up to be a thought leader in a particular area, then give it a shot in terms of being much more vocal and active on social media. And I love that people are putting their LinkedIn profiles in the chat so that we can continue networking and building relationships. So let's keep this going. And I think this is also like a good way to wrap up. So, you know, there are multiple people who are here. If you don't know each other, this is a great way for you to start building that muscle with a trustful, you know, group of people who are going through similar experiences. So I highly encourage you to do that. Please connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I promise I will accept your LinkedIn request. One thing that I always ask for is to identify how we met, because I like to refer back to the chat history, so I know how we met each other and can reference that. So that's always really helpful. And then, you know, you can stay in touch with me on LinkedIn. I do have a small group coaching program that's specifically focused on networking. And we go through like how to actually write some of these scripts and those prompts and talk about, you know, analyzing your network and doing a lot of that work. So if you're interested in learning more about that, reach out. And I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else that you have questions on or curious about or need more information on in terms of networking.
I think like this is very good. So like Liang, just wanted to ask you that what is the preferred mode of contacting you? LinkedIn? I just shared that your LinkedIn. Is there anything else?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I also put my email in there if you want to reach out to me individually. And yeah, that's it. So those two.
Sweet. Thanks a lot, Liang, again. I think this was a great session. I personally learned a lot. I'm also seeing some of our students here, so I keep saying that it's super important to take notes of everything because the learning will go away and like practice them. So I'm glad to see that some of them are also like practicing, like giving the link, like dropping the LinkedIn link. That's how you start. So like, that's good.
Nice.
But yeah, I think this is a great, Liang. Thanks a lot for again doing this, and hopefully we can do more of these sessions in future. And yeah.
All right. Well, thanks
Liang,
everybody. Good luck with everything.
Closing thoughts?
Or
anything?
Yeah, just like keep this going, make a habit out of it. It's always a little weird in the beginning, but once you get into the practice and you get you know, people who, you know, you never would have met, who take the time to meet with you and give you advice, I think you start to build more confidence, you know, with that. So that's my parting words, right, as we say goodbye.
Sweet. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Good night.
Take care. I think we can stop the live probably.
Yeah.
And the recording too.
Yeah.